When my friend Jason asked me to house sit for him, I almost said no. It wasn't that I didn't trust him. I just don't sleep well in other people's houses. The air always feels different, too quiet, too still, like the walls are holding their breath, waiting for you to close your eyes. But Jason was leaving for 2 weeks on a work trip, and he'd helped me out plenty of times before his house sat on the edge of town, just past a long gravel road lined with bare oaks. 2 stories, old but kept up, the kind of place that looked peaceful in the daylight, but turned into a hollow silhouette once night fell. He gave me the tour the evening before he left. Everything was neat, labeled, organized. Keys on the counter, thermostat set low, fridge stocked. He even showed me the guest room upstairs, where I'd be sleeping. It was simple. Queen bed, 1 window, dresser, lamp. The carpet was pale gray and soft underfoot, and there was a faint smell of cedar. But what I remember most was the mirror, a tall, thin one mounted to the wall opposite the bed. It looked older than the rest of the furniture, the frame slightly warped, glass tinted with that smoky haze old mirrors get over time. When I asked if it came with the house, Jason hesitated before nodding. "Yeah," he said. "It's been there since I moved in. Don't use that room much anymore." Then, almost as an afterthought, he added, "You'll probably hear noises at night. The place settles weird." He smiled when he said it, but something about his tone didn't feel like a joke. The first few nights were uneventful. I worked remotely during the day, ate dinner by the muted TV, and went to bed around midnight. The house was drafty, full of the kind of sounds that come with age. Creaks, sighs, the faint groan of wood under shifting air pressure. But by the 4th night, I started noticing something peculiar. Each morning, the bed in the guest room looked disturbed. Not messy exactly, just as though someone had lain down for a few minutes, then carefully smoothed the blankets back. The indentation was faint but visible, always on the left side, always the same shape. At first, I thought I was doing it myself, maybe sitting there while on the phone or leaning to grab something from the floor. But the next morning, I woke to find the same mark again. And this time, I'd taken a photo the night before to be sure. The difference was subtle but undeniable. I told myself it was the mattress shifting from temperature changes or my own imagination trying to fill the quiet. But a few nights later, I woke suddenly around 3 a.m. The air felt different, heavier, the kind of heaviness that has presence. The room was dark, except for the faint orange spill of the streetlight through the blinds. The silence was absolute. And then I heard it, a soft, deliberate exhale, right beside the bed, not mine. It came once, long and steady, close enough that I felt the air shift against my arm. I froze, didn't breathe, didn't blink. And in the mirror on the wall, something was reflected that shouldn't have been there. There was someone lying on the bed behind me. The outline was faint, just a shadowed form beneath the blanket, like a trick of the dim light. But the shape was unmistakable. Shoulders, a head tilted toward me. The suggestion of eyes open in the dark, I turned to look. Nothing. The bed was empty. I stayed awake until dawn, staring at the reflection until sunlight washed it away. By then, the mark was back on the bed. Faint, shallow, but there exactly where the shape had been. That morning, I called Jason. I told him about the noises, the strange pattern in the sheets, the way the mirror caught things that weren't there. He didn't seem surprised. He just said quietly, "Don't sleep in that bed again." When I asked why, he said, "It's better if you don't ask. He's always quiet unless you talk in your sleep." I didn't know what to say to that. He hung up before I could ask who he was. That night, I set up my phone to record video, aimed directly at the bed and mirror. I slept on the couch downstairs, light on, TV running low for comfort. Every sound made me flinch. Every creak felt deliberate. When I finally looked at the footage the next morning, most of it was uneventful until 3:11 a.m. The sheets on the guest bed began to move. Not in a gust of air, not from shifting weight. They moved as though hands beneath them were straightening the fabric, smoothing the creases with care. The indentation deepened exactly as it had every night. Then in the mirror, a figure appeared. Faint, translucent, almost human. He lay down slowly, facing the empty wall, and stayed there. The timestamp ran for 3 hours. He didn't move once. I deleted the video. I told myself it was fake, corrupted, glitched by motion blur. But the next night, the house felt alive again, whispering, breathing, settling around me like a body adjusting in its sleep. I slept with my back against the couch cushions, eyes fixed on the dark stairwell. At some point, I drifted off. When I woke, the TV was off, and the guest room door, which I'd closed, and was open halfway. Inside, the blanket had been pulled back, like someone was waiting for me to get in. I called Jason again that morning. He didn't answer. So I left. I never told him I'd gone back a few weeks later to drop off his spare key. The house looked the same, but there was something different in the air. He looked thinner, sleep-deprived. When I asked if everything was okay, he smiled weakly, said he was just tired, hadn't been sleeping much since he got back. When I turned to leave, I noticed the mirror was gone. That old, warped frame that had watched the bed for decades, Jason said he'd moved it to the basement. Said it felt wrong upstairs. But as I walked out, I caught sight of something in the reflection of the hallway window. A pale shape standing just beyond the stairwell railing, watching. Later that night, he texted me 2 words. It's back. Some places don't need to be haunted. They just need to be remembered. And sometimes all it takes to wake what's waiting there is someone new to fall asleep. I've lived in this apartment for nearly 4 years now. 4th floor, 1 bedroom, small balcony, decent rent. The kind of place that feels anonymous, just a box stacked among hundreds of others. When I first moved in, I liked that. There was comfort in the noise of other people's lives. Muffled laughter through the walls, footsteps above, a television humming somewhere down the hall. But lately, it's the silence that wakes me. It started about 6 months ago, right after the tenant across the hall, Mrs. Delaney, passed away. She'd been old, frail, the kind of neighbor you only see once every few weeks. Her apartment stayed empty for a while after they cleared it out. Then one night, the knocking began. The first time I thought someone was at my door. It was soft. 3 short knocks, a pause, then 1 more. Tap, 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 tap. I remember glancing at my phone 4:03 a.m. When I checked the peephole, the hallway was empty. No footsteps, no sound. Just the flicker of the motion light struggling to stay on. I told myself it was a neighbor mistaking the wrong door. But it happened again the next night. Same rhythm, same time. And the night after that, I tried ignoring it. Tried leaving the lights on, sleeping with headphones in, even keeping a white noise app running beside me. But somehow, no matter how loud the distraction, I always heard it tap, 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 tap. At exactly 4:03. A week later, I gave up sleeping altogether. Instead, I sat awake in the dark, waiting. When the sound came again, I moved quietly to the door and pressed my eye to the peephole. And for the first time, there was someone there, a man, tall, thin, pale. He stood directly in front of my door, face tilted downward like he was listening for something inside. He wasn't wearing a uniform or delivery clothes, just dark slacks and a white button-down shirt that looked too clean for the hour. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even breathe visibly. After maybe 10 seconds, he knocked again. Tap, 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 tap. Then he turned and walked away, slowly, without a sound, his shadow trailing under the dim light until he disappeared around the corner toward Mrs. Delaney's old door. I should have called security, or the police. But there was something about the way he moved, deliberate, unhurried, that made it feel like a dream I hadn't woken from yet. I just stood there, frozen, listening to the echo of his shoes fade into silence. The next morning, I asked the building manager if anyone had moved into 4B. He checked his clipboard, frowned, and said it was still vacant. The lock hadn't been changed since Mrs. Delaney passed. He even offered to show me the keys to prove it. I declined. That night, I stayed up again, same time, same sound. Tap, 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 tap. But this time, it came from inside the apartment. I heard it from the wall behind my bed. The one that backed up to 4B, I froze, counting each heartbeat, waiting for the rhythm to repeat. When it did, I realized something even worse. It wasn't just knocking, it was repeating something. A whisper, faint but distinct, under the knocks themselves. 4 syllables. I couldn't make them out clearly at first, just a low rasp that sounded almost like breath pressed through teeth. When I finally understood the words, my stomach dropped. It was saying my name. Every night after that, it happened again. Always at 4:03, always the same 4 knocks, always the same whisper. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped answering friends who noticed my voice, trembled more each time I spoke. The building manager eventually called me in for a wellness check, said I looked pale, said people on the floor reported hearing me pacing at night. He suggested I move, or at least take a break. I almost did. Then one morning I noticed something strange. The apartment door across from mine, 4B, was open. Not wide, just cracked. Like someone had left it that way on purpose. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I walked across the hall and looked inside. The air was stale, heavy with dust. The blinds were drawn, and there was no furniture left except a single chair sitting in the middle of the room, facing the door. And on the wall opposite it, carved into the plaster, were 4 small indentations, like someone had been knocking. When I leaned closer, I realized they weren't random. Each mark was the faint outline of a fingertip, pressed deep into the paint over and over until the wall began to dent inward. That night I left the apartment, checked into a cheap motel an hour away, swearing I'd never go back. But even there, at exactly 4:03, I woke up to the sound soft, close, tap, 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 tap. It came from the door, and then from the wall beside my bed, and then from inside the headboard itself, as if it had followed me. Step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, I threw everything in my car before sunrise and drove until I couldn't feel my hands on the wheel anymore. I rented a new place under a different name. 2 cities away, new address. New start. That was 3 months ago. I haven't heard the knock since. But sometimes, just before I fall asleep, I dream of the man in the white shirt, standing quietly on the other side of the door, counting seconds, waiting for the moment the clock hits 4:03. Because when it does, he always finds me. Not every haunting stays with the place it began. Some follow the living, tracing the heartbeat, the breath, the name whispered in the dark. And when it knocks, you'll know it's for you, because it always knocks 4 times. They say that when you dream, your brain is simply sorting memories. Fragments of thought replaying in random order, like a projector stuck on loop. But what if it's not your mind doing the dreaming? What if you're just being used by something else? Something that needs you to close your eyes so it can open its own? I used to work nights. Long hours, quiet shifts. The kind of job that warps your sense of time until sunrise and sunset mean nothing. When I finally did get home, I'd collapse into bed sometime around 7 or 8 a.m., draw the blinds and fall into a kind of artificial darkness. For a while, I started noticing something strange about my sleep. Not nightmares, not at first, but a pattern. Every night, I'd wake up exactly once, around 10:46 a.m., always the same time. Always the same feeling, like I'd just come back from somewhere far away, somewhere I shouldn't have gone. Then I started remembering pieces of it. At first, it was just sounds. Low voices echoing through a tunnel, the scrape of something heavy being dragged across the floor. Then images, a massive room with walls that looked like wet stone, a ceiling that pulsed faintly as though it were breathing, and eyes, hundreds of them, blinking in the dark. I tried telling myself it was just the exhaustion, a side effect of bad sleep cycles. But when I started seeing things while awake, I knew it was something else. The first time it happened, I was brushing my teeth, half asleep, staring at my own reflection. And then, just for a moment, the mirror lagged. My reflection kept brushing for a fraction of a second after I stopped. I blinked, leaned closer, and my reflection smiled. I dropped the toothbrush, stumbled backward, and when I looked again, everything was normal. After that, I started leaving the lights on when I slept. Didn't help, because the dreams got worse. Now every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same place. A cavern made of flesh and shadow. Something was breathing behind the walls, slow, deliberate, aware. And each time I woke, I felt more drained, like it was taking something from me. It got to the point where I stopped sleeping entirely, 3-4 days awake, my mind buzzing, heart skipping beats. But when I finally passed out on the couch, it wasn't like falling asleep. It was like being pulled under. This time I wasn't in the cavern. I was standing in my bedroom. Everything looked normal. The desk, the curtains, the faint hum of the fridge in the next room. But there was a man standing by my bed. He was completely still, his back turned to me. And I knew somehow that he wasn't part of the dream, he was watching it. Watching me. When he turned, I realized I couldn't see his face. It wasn't blurred or hidden. It just wasn't there. Like a blank patch in the air where a face should be. He tilted his head slightly as though studying me. Then he said in a voice that didn't come from his mouth but from everywhere at once, "You're not supposed to be awake yet." And then I was sitting upright on the couch, gasping, drenched in sweat. The clock read 10:46. That's when I noticed something new on my wrist. 3 small dots, perfectly spaced in a triangle. Not bruises, not burns, but something beneath the skin, faintly glowing when the light hit just right. I scrubbed at them until my arm was raw. They didn't fade. Since then, every time I sleep, I go back. Sometimes I see the man again. Sometimes I see the walls moving, shapes shifting, eyes opening one by one until the darkness itself seems to breathe around me. And sometimes I feel it lean close. A voice whispering behind my ear. Do you ever wonder which of us is dreaming? I wake up seconds later, heart racing. The clock always says 10:46, and each morning the 3 dots on my wrist glow a little brighter. I stopped telling people about it after my coworker, the only one I confided in, quit without warning. He left a note taped to my locker. It said, "I saw them too. Don't go back to sleep." I tried staying awake for 2 full days again. Didn't work. My eyes burned, my thoughts blurred, and when I finally blinked, I was there, in the cavern, surrounded by those hundreds of eyes, all fixed on me. The man without a face stepped forward. "You've been chosen," he said. "We all dream something into being, and now something dreams you." When I woke, my nose was bleeding. My phone said 10:46, and on my wrist, beneath the 3 dots, I could see something faintly pulsing, like a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake, but I think I've finally figured it out. We don't dream when we sleep. We wake up, and what we call nightmares are just the things that remember us. So if you're hearing this before you go to bed tonight, try not to dream too deeply, because something might be waiting for you on the other side of your eyes. It's been 1 year since my wife Claire passed away. Even saying those words still feels unreal, like I'm describing a scene from someone else's life. Some nights I still reach out to her side of the bed before I remember she's gone. The sheets are always cold. After the funeral, I stopped sleeping properly. The house felt too quiet without her. The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, even the sound of rain hitting the windows. All of it felt louder somehow, like the silence itself was pressing down on me. The first time I dreamed of her, it didn't feel like a dream at all. She was standing at the edge of the bed, wearing the same gray sweater she used to fall asleep in. Her hair fell the same way across her shoulders. Even the way she breathed, slow, careful, steady, was exactly as I remembered. She smiled soft, familiar, and then she said, "You shouldn't be awake right now." I tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. My body felt heavy, the air thick. She leaned forward and brushed her hand against my cheek, and for a moment, I could feel her warmth. The same warmth I'd missed for a year. When I woke up, I could still smell her shampoo. Her sweater was folded neatly on the nightstand. I told myself it had to be grief, that maybe my mind was conjuring her up because it didn't know how to let her go. But the next night she came again, and the night after that. always at the same time, 3:17 a.m., always with the same words. You shouldn't be awake right now. After a week, I started keeping track. I wrote everything down. What she said, what she wore, even the faint reflection of her shape in the window. It was always consistent, too consistent for a dream. Then things started to change. One night she wasn't alone. Behind her in the doorway, I could see someone else. Just a shape at first. Then a figure, tall, featureless, motionless, watching. When I tried to move, Claire shook her head slowly. Her voice was softer this time. Don't look at him. Then she leaned forward and kissed my forehead. Something she used to do before bed every night, except this time, her lips were ice cold. When I woke up, I could still feel the cold lingering on my skin. Over the next few nights, she spoke less and less. Sometimes she just stood there, her expression blank, her head tilted slightly like she was listening to something far away. Once she whispered, "They don't like when I stay too long." I wanted to ask her who they were, but before I could, she faded. Not like a ghost disappearing, but like a photograph burning away from the edges inward. After that, I stopped sleeping altogether. For 2 days, I stayed awake, drinking coffee, pacing the halls, waiting for 3:17. But when the hour came, even though I was wide awake, I still saw her. She was standing at the window this time, outside the glass, staring in at me. The porch light flickered behind her. Her hair drifted slightly in the breeze, but her eyes, they didn't move. They were locked on mine. And for the first time, I realized they weren't her eyes at all. They were completely black. She raised one hand and placed it against the glass. Her voice came through like a whisper carried by the wind. "You have to sleep, Daniel. It's the only way I can stay." The next thing I remember is waking up on the floor by the window. Hours later, the glass was warm where her hand had been. Since then, I've been sleeping more. Longer, deeper, harder to wake from. Every night she's there, and every night the figure behind her stands a little closer. Sometimes I think I can hear it breathing. Sometimes I think I can hear it whispering my name. I know I should stop. I know I should stay awake, but each time she comes, she looks more real. Her voice softer, her skin warmer, her touch stronger. She tells me she's almost back, that I just need to sleep one more time and I will. Tonight. Because I can't live without her anymore. If I don't wake up tomorrow, don't call it dying. Call it going home. Because when I close my eyes tonight, she'll be there, waiting to wake me, and this time I won't fight it. We all dream of the ones we've lost, but sometimes they dream of us too. Sleep. It's supposed to be the one place we're safe, where the world fades and our minds can finally rest. But what if sleep isn't a refuge? What if it's a doorway? Every night we surrender our bodies, close our eyes, slow our hearts, and drift into the dark, trusting that we'll wake again. But maybe somewhere in the stillness between those heartbeats, something else wakes instead. Something that remembers us, something that watches. The people you met tonight, the dreamers, the watchers, the haunted, they've all touched that edge between worlds. And if you listen carefully, if you let the dark settle just right around you, you might hear them too, whispering from the other side of your eyelids. Sleep well tonight, but if you feel eyes on you when you dream, don't open them.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.